Hello everyone and welcome to my channel, and in today's video we are going to be going over the new Disney Plus series Percy Jackson and the Olympians. So on this channel I'm going to recap every single episode of the Percy Jackson Disney Plus series. So if you're messing with the content, please make sure to give a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications and all that good stuff to keep up to date with the episodes as I review them as well. So thank you all for the support in the past few videos as well, and let's get into it. Percy Jackson and the Olympians Episode 3. Episode 3 titled We Visit the Garden Gnome Emporium.
I'm gonna need a sword.
So we start off the episode with Percy going to the Oracle, which happens to be his stepdad, in a green smoke-like substance that jets out of a woman who looks centuries old. So this is funny because the couch that Percy's stepdad sits in resembles the couch that the Oracle sits in as well. So the Oracle looks to be housed in this abandoned attic or warehouse that kind of reminds me of the Room of Requirement in Harry Potter. So the Oracle tells Percy that his quest is to go west and face the god who has turned, and you shall find what was stolen and see it safely returned. Now, the Oracle also tells Percy that he is going to be betrayed by the one who calls him friend and failed to save what matters most. So basically Percy's quest is to confront Hades in the underworld, which is located below in the city of Los Angeles. The second part of what the Oracle tells Percy is very vague, and very vague for an intentional reason. And typically oracles or prophecies are like that. Very vague, which can mean a lot of many different things, but typically are only referencing one thing. Percy doesn't have many friends yet, so he doesn't have much to choose from besides Grover, Annabeth, and maybe Luke. Chiron announces that Percy must go on this quest, and he's pulled out the top possible candidates in the camp that Percy can choose to join him, and he can choose 2 people to go with him. So he immediately chooses Annabeth and tells Chiron that he's going to need someone that won't hesitate to push him to complete the mission, and Annabeth, being the daughter of Athena, would push him if it was the wisest choice. He also ends up choosing Grover to the surprise of Chiron, and then they venture off to start the quest. As Percy is packing, Luke comes to say goodbye as he gives Percy a pair of red Converse that are actually flying shoes that his father Hermes gifted him. Percy tells Luke that the reason he didn't choose him is because the Oracle claimed that a friend was going to betray him, and he felt that Luke would betray Percy in order to protect Annabeth. Luke tells Percy to look out for each other as they venture out into the quest. Annabeth says goodbye to Thalia, who is the tree that's placed at the entrance of Camp Half-Blood. Zeus turned Thalia into a tree because Luke, Annabeth, and Thalia were being chased by monsters. Thalia wanted to fight them off to buy Annabeth and Luke some time, essentially going against the advice of her satyr protector, which we later find out in the episode was actually Grover. Zeus turned Thalia into a tree to save Annabeth and Luke's life, as well as to protect the secrecy of Camp Half-Blood's location. Why is Thalia catching strays from Percy? So Percy just put in there that, oh, she met a Pinecone's fate? That is so out of pocket. As they venture from camp to New York City, Grover reminds Percy that the gods and goddesses have made and broke empires and are responsible for changing the courses of history. I love the shot of Percy in the taxi looking up at the Empire State Building as the reflection shows in the mirror. Kind of reminds me of that scene in Home Alone where Kevin is looking up out the taxi at the New York City skyline and he's just amazed. The top of the Empire State Building on the 600th floor is actually where Olympus is located. They end up taking a Greyhound bus at Port Authority bus station en route to Trenton, New Jersey to start off their quest. Because according to Chiron and Grover, taking a plane and risking a run-in with an angry Zeus in the sky would not be beneficial to them. So the bus stops for a break at a highway rest stop, and Annabeth ventures out to get snacks for the group. Annabeth grabs a bunch of candy and notices that a Fury is lurking nearby. This Fury is named Alecto, the same Fury that has been hunting Percy prior to him coming to Camp Half-Blood. So if you don't remember, the Furies are working for Hades, and Hades is sending them to basically hunt down Percy. Annabeth uses her invisibility hat and has a quick convo with Alecto on the bus. Alecto says that if Annabeth gives up Percy to her, that she and Grover can continue on the quest unharmed. Annabeth alerts Percy and Grover, and they escape through the back window of the bus. They venture through the forest, and Percy is having second thoughts about even continuing with this quest. Annabeth is dead set on continuing and reminds Percy that this quest is much bigger than him, especially if Hades is literally sending people to hunt him down. Percy and Annabeth argued to reveal that Grover was actually the satyr protector of Luke, Annabeth, and Thalia, prior to Thalia getting turned into a tree by Zeus. This is another reason why Grover wants to desperately save Percy's mom. He feels responsible for countless tragedy and has a chance to right this wrong. Grover smells burgers as they end up at this weird shop in the middle of the forest named Auntie M's Garden Gnome Emporium. They encounter stone-like figures and quickly realize that this is Medusa's shop. Medusa is a very popular figure in Greek mythology, and her name and powers have been referenced countless of times. Medusa was a human woman, now a Gorgon, who vowed to Athena not to have children or have sex out of devotion and loyalty to her. However, Medusa eventually enters a relationship with Poseidon that becomes non-consensual as she was R-worded by Poseidon. Athena finds out that Medusa and Poseidon were having a relationship and she curses Medusa for it. This story is why Annabeth and Percy view Medusa differently. Percy trusts Medusa because of his mother's stories about her, while Annabeth doesn't trust Medusa because of her mother's stories about her. Medusa invites them to eat a meal, which is her tactic for luring her victims to stay with her. I'm glad that Rick Riordan allowed Medusa to tell her story from her perspective in the show, because a lot of people generally view Medusa's story in the frame of the aftermath as the monster and not the human before all of that. Medusa ends up going after all of them after Percy declines to hand Annabeth and Grover over to her to turn to stone. Annabeth and Percy end up working together by using her hat to turn Medusa invisible so that her eyes won't be visible to look at. Percy uses his pen sword Riptide to then chop off Medusa's head, just like Perseus in Greek mythology who chopped off Medusa's head. Funny how in one of the first scenes of the series, Percy is at the Met Museum looking up at a statue of Perseus holding up Medusa's head. Full circle moment in Greek mythology here. Percy then uses Medusa's head to turn Alecto to stone. Afterwards, Grover encounters a statue of his uncle Ferdinand, who was also tasked with the quest that didn't make it past Medusa's wrath, and reflects on the danger this possible quest may be for all of them. Percy and Annabeth start to argue again as Percy reveals the second part of the oracle to them about the betrayal, as well as Medusa's request to him, and Annabeth reveals the request that Alecto made to her. Notice that Annabeth didn't give Percy and Grover up to Alecto to betray Percy to complete the quest, and Percy didn't betray Annabeth and Grover to give them up to Medusa. We're seeing a semblance of trust beginning to form and a little bit of friendship as well between the three. Grover tells Percy and Annabeth that this quest wasn't just brought on by choice and that they need to stick together for the fate of the world. Percy decides to ship Medusa's head to Olympus as a big FU to the gods. We then go to Hermes delivering the package to Olympus as he heads up the Empire State Building to the 600th floor to close out the episode. We learned a lot about Medusa, we learned a lot about Alecto and the Furies, a lot about Thalia and Annabeth's beginnings and how Grover connects to it all. This episode was beautifully produced, especially Medusa's piece. I'm super excited for the next episode. Like always, thank you all for joining in on this recap. I really appreciate you all tuning into the recap. Make sure you give a like on the channel, subscribe as well, turn on post notifications so you can get up-to-date recaps on the different Percy Jackson episodes that are releasing on Disney+. And like always, thank you all for tuning in, and I will see y'all in the next episode.